Right, when you're going for a weight loss journey or fitness journey or trying to become fitter and healthier, this is probably the most important data you could understand about yourself. When people don't understand this data, they will never or find it very hard to find contentment and always striving something they might not even be able to strive for, and it is out of zone. So when you understand this data, it helps you create a bit of contentment, but also allows you to understand if you're in a good position, or if you're in a great position, or if you're in a bad position, need to kick up the backside. This data is personal to everyone. So listen in, it's a bit of a long one, but hopefully you'll learn from this, and I swear by this stuff. Okay, so everyone has a top end threshold and have the bottom end threshold with everything. So with their appearance, there's a bottom end and top end. With their fitness levels, there's a bottom end and top end. Now, when you understand this, you can create contentment. I'll give you an example. Let's say someone's trying to become fitter and they're trying to do push-ups, and they're trying to do push-ups within 2 minutes, see how many push-ups they can do. And let's say they do it to start off with and they can only do 30, and they train for 6 months, and after 6 months they can do 80 push-ups within 2 minutes. And then now they're at the 80 push-ups, they're going to continue training and try and get a bit further. But that particular person might not ever be able to do more than 80 push-ups. I'll give you an example. No one would ever be able to do 1,000 push-ups in 2 minutes. It's just physically impossible. No matter what kind of training you've got, or what kind of training program, nutrition plans, even with the type of steroids you put inside yourself, there's no one in the world that will ever be able to do 1,000 push-ups in 2 minutes, which means there's got to be a top end. So for some particular person, they may never ever be able to get past 80. This, everyone's different, okay? We're just hypothetically talking. So if this person doesn't understand that there's that this is their top end threshold, they'll get 80 push-ups and they'll train for 6 months hard as they can, and they may never ever be able to break it. And when they do 2 minutes worth of push-up, a test, and they only get 78 or 79, they get disheartened and they feel defeated. Well, actually, they're really at the top end threshold of their strength conditioning towards push-up, and they should be ecstatic. So this calculates to everything. So within their appearance, which is what a lot of people strive for, everyone wants to look better and greater. They always want to get, fitter, toner, have a better six-pack, etc. But let's say someone's top end threshold is, say, like 10% body fat for a male, which will show their abs, it will show everything. Trying to get down to that 9%, 8% is very hard, and it's very hard to sustain, especially if you live a life, if you've got kids, you've got family, you've got a career, you've got business, whatever it may be. Staying at a 10% threshold forever is pretty unlikely, unless you're using steroids. Well, I won't talk about that. So, but if people don't understand their threshold, this particular person then drops down to 11%, 12%, and they don't show as many abs, and start to see a bit of flubber and stuff like that, they get disheartened. But what's actually happened? They're at the top end threshold, and if they're around 12% or whatever percent, they could be at the happy medium, which is still fantastic. So with this data, you can test different attributes or different parts of yourself. So for example, your appearance, which is body fat, and your size. Notice how I haven't put weight. We'll come on to that in a second. And then your fitness levels. Fitness, there's so many different things you can test. And you shouldn't do one for all. For example, some people never care about doing the 10K. I'll give you an example. Eddie Hall, great guy. He's an incredible athlete, but he's probably not going to care about trying to get a 45-minute 10K because he's built for strength. And at the moment, he's built for fighting. So 10K might not even be on the horizon for him ever, but he's still somewhat healthy because he lives a healthy lifestyle. But with the fitness attribute, there's so many ones that you can categorize. You should be able to pick some. And what I do, so I've got a big list of different things that I like to test myself on. And at any given day, if I do any of these tests, it allows me to put myself in a bracket of where I am. So for example, if I go out and do a 10K randomly, and haven't trained for a 10K, but I do a 10K, and I'll get less than, it takes me longer than an hour and 10 minutes. For me, that's at my bottom end threshold, and I need to give myself a kick at the backside to get myself into the happy zone and closer to the top end zone. If I do a 10K and I'm between 50 minutes and 55 minutes, then I'm in my happy zone. If I'm less than that, then I'm closer to my bottom end threshold. And to be realistic, I'm sitting around about 60 minutes for my 10K at the moment, so I need to give myself a kick at the backside to be in my happy place. So this is my happy place. It might be different for yours. Your happy place could be an hour and 5 minutes to do a 10K, which is fantastic. Everyone's different. For example, I like swimming. I really like swimming, so I do a lot of swimming. So I want to time myself. At any given time, if I chuck myself in the water and I do a mile swim and I time myself, I know my data for what's good for me. So if I do less than 30 minutes, or if it takes me longer than 30 minutes to do a mile swim, it's not good news. I need to sort myself out. If I'm closer to the 20-minute mark, great news. If I'm between 22 and 25 minutes, fantastic. And I've got a list of different exercises that I know my data for. I don't know my data for an Olympic triathlon, which I've done before, but I need to do a few more to really understand the top end and the bottom end. And what I can do, I can use data of the average Olympic triathlon timing, and I can calculate it towards that. Also, Ironman, I've only done one of those, so I don't know the complete data for myself. If I go for the average, that could be the average of the other person, it's not for me. But there's so those are the big ones, but you've got little ones like 10K, anyone could do that tomorrow. It doesn't matter if you don't think you can do 10K, you'll be able to walk 10K, well, the majority of people can. If you can't, then you need to give yourself a kick at the backside. A 1 mile swim, that's something you can do pretty much any day. A fitness test, so we do something called a fitness test, which you do 2 minutes worth of push-ups, 2 minutes worth of sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. And you have a calculation. You can calculate a score of 300, so that's the maximum score you can get for it. And for me, if I'm lower than 250, I'm at the bottom end threshold for myself. If I'm at a 300 score, which is pretty much maximum, I'm happy. And then you can have an advanced score, which is a bit more intricate, but that's for me known as the top end threshold. If we go to the body fat percentage, I'll show you this. So there's tables out there that will show you what your healthy range of a body fat percentage is. So a healthy body fat percentage for myself is between, I believe it's like 12% and 19% of my age. So my happy zone of a body fat percentage is 14%. If I'm standing on the scales and it tells me that I'm 40% body fat, fantastic. But I also know 14% is not going to show the abs like a Greek god would, but I know I'm healthy. If I'm close to 12%, even greater. If I'm getting close to 17%, that's not good. I need to sort something out. So when you understand this data, you can test yourself at any given time. It doesn't matter where you are. And as long as you're in your bracket of the healthy zone, fantastic. If you're not, you need to give you a kick at yourself at the backside, getting yourself closer. And this is the stuff that's going to give you longevity. And if you don't understand this stuff, it'll take you about 3, maybe 6 months to get a real true data of what you are. And actually, that's a bit of a lie. Every quarter, I'll take myself through a majority of these tests within 1 week, and I get a lot of data from it. So every 3 months, I'll do quite a few of these tests, and it lets me know where I am and where I need to give myself a kick at the backside. And to be completely honest, there's quite a few of these things I need to give myself a kick at the backside. It's exactly what I am doing. So threshold, I swear by this stuff, is a powerful data tool to help analyze where, if you're on a bottom end threshold, top end threshold, and you're happy. And when you understand this stuff, you will stop worrying about getting to a position you might not be able to get to. And as long as you're in a happy position, it gives you that contentment feeling and makes you feel satisfied. If you're in a bottom end, then hopefully it helps give you that kick at the backside and do the things that you need to. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you in the next one.